Hey, how you guys doing? Robert Terrazas, founder and CEO of Empire Lending Group. So this is it, Phase 3, Knowledge Part 2. In this phase, I'm really going to break down how private mortgage investing works and with all the fine details. Just so you guys know what the teams are doing, what kind of documents are involved, and all the steps from beginning to end. Alright, so let's hop into it. This could be a little bit of a longer part, so if you guys need to, pause the video, take notes if you guys need to, which I strongly suggest anyway, and here we go. So private mortgage investing starts with a borrower coming to us for financing on their real estate project. Well, the borrower is either what people would consider a flipper, a rehabber, or a real estate investor. They could also be a wholesaler and other sorts, but typically that's what we'll see. We see real estate investors along the lines of rehabbers. So these are people that are purchasing properties to put in a little bit of work into them, then to sell them for bigger profits. So they're buying under market value, putting in, let's say a lot of the times they're putting in cosmetics, paint, carpet, new windows, doors, things like that, and then selling it for more. So when these people come to us and ask us for a loan, they're coming to us with the property and saying, hey, look at this property. This is what I'm wanting to do with it. This is how much I'm going to need to purchase the property. This is how much I'm going to need to rehab the property for the material costs and the labor. And then after, this is what it's worth, the ARV, the after repair value. So when they ask for this, we go into our underwriting criteria, make sure that this meets some of our minimum requirements at this point. Later we really start digging into it and make sure that it meets everything else, but to even see if we can do this deal, this is where we start. And one of the things is how much they're asking for. This is what we consider LTV, or loan to value. So we land up the max of 70% LTV. And I'll cover more later about what that means as far as how the investor is protected. But what this really means is that if, for example, if the purchase price of the property was $100,000, the most that we can lend to this person is $70,000. So that they're having to bring to the table $30,000 or 30%. All right. So another thing is that we make sure also that they're not going to be occupying the home, that it's going to be non-owner occupied. So what this means is that though this person purchases the home, they won't be living there. And the reason being is because in case we ever had to foreclose on the property, which for one is incredibly unlikely, and I'll explain later why, but if they live in the property, it changes the foreclosure process completely in the laws. It can drag it out possibly for years if they live in the property. And if they don't, it can be as little as 2 weeks to a few months. So it changes the timeline incredibly. And as you, the investor, and our company investing together with you, in case there ever was a foreclosure, we want to get our money back as soon as we possibly can. So one of our standards are we cannot lend to people if they plan on living in the property. And there's other things as well. We look and make sure that the person hasn't had any foreclosures in the past, any sort of bankruptcies in the past, credit issues, things like that. Once we go over those, then we'll be able to start the loan process. So when we start this process and we realize that it's a good deal, that what the borrower is coming to us with, we move forward and we contact our teams. So I want to break down the individuals that make up our teams and what their roles are. So within our teams, we have a broker, we have a real estate attorney, we have a title company, we have an escrow company, and we have a servicing company. Now, each one of these individuals plays a crucial role in the private lending business. Our broker is the one that drafts up all the paperwork for the borrower to sign, the note to the property, the mortgage, the deed of trust, and I'll go more into those in a little bit. The broker is going to be the person that's typically in contact with the borrower the most. A lot of the times the broker is also the servicing company. And what the servicing company is when the borrower makes his monthly payments on his loan, it goes to the servicing company, and then from the servicing company it gets dispersed to you, the investor, as well as us, the company. So the real estate attorney is the person that handles the closings of the deal. This is also the person that typically is also in charge of the title company as well as escrow. So the duties for the title company is to pull the preliminary report or prelim for us so we can see what position in the loan that we are, to make sure that there's no prior liens on the house and that we are in first position. I'll get into that also later when I go into how we're protected. This attorney is also typically the escrow company. Depending on what state you're in, California they have separate escrow companies, but here in Florida, the attorney acts also as the escrow company. And this is a neutral third-party organization to where documents and funds for the project are placed. So now that you guys understand what the team's roles are, this is why we use them. The reason being is because these people have decades upon decades upon decades of experience. They are truly masters within their industry, and they know all the ins and outs as well as any updated laws in that industry. There's no reason for us to try to become masters at what they're doing because they've already been doing it for 30 years. And one of the best things about it is that at the end of the day, the borrower pays for these services. Not you, not us, but the borrower. Okay, so now when I said that our team send the necessary documents to the borrower, these are the main two documents that I'm talking about. They send them the promissory note as well as the mortgage. Now, a promissory note is a document that says, I, the borrower, promise to pay Empire Lending Group and partner investor X amount of money by X date. So really, it's an IOU. Now, what this says is, if I don't pay you, I offer this as collateral, being the mortgage or deed of trust. I'll go into the difference between those two in a second. What the mortgage is and the deed of trust is it links the collateral to this note. So if you simply just had the promissory note, it's not linked to anything. You need the mortgage or deed of trust, and them two together are what combines the property to the note. So now it says, I owe you this. So the promissory note is the IOU, and the this is the mortgage, which is linked to the property. Alright, so what's the difference between a deed of trust and a mortgage? Well, I'm not going to go into all the specifics, but really what it breaks down to is there are some states that are deed of trust states, and there are some states that are mortgage states. For the most part, it's the same document, and it's the security instrument, like I said, that links the property to this document, that links it to the promissory note. Now, we could go more in depth and say that the states that use deed of trust states, this means that this is a non-judicial document. It means it's not filed with the court system, and a mortgage is. Really, the benefits between the two is any states that use a deed of trust, you can foreclose on the property much quicker than you can than ones that use mortgages. Okay, so that's a brief breakdown of what they are. There's more, but I'll give you guys some references so you guys are able to read on those and get a full understanding of what they are. Alright, so now that the broker has sent the documents over to the borrower, now we start our due diligence period. This is where we really take a deeper look at what's going on in the deal. So we order an appraisal on the property to make sure the property value of it today. Really, the main important thing is what it's worth now, because that is the amount that we're only going to lend max 70% of. Okay, so I want to say that again. The property value today is what's important, and that is what we lend 70% of the value on today. Okay? So, and I'll go into why that keeps us more protected than if we lent 85, 90, or 100% of the entire loan. So we order this appraisal, and we use our own appraiser. We do not use the borrower's appraiser, because really that could be a conflict of interest, and we want to make sure that we're using someone on our side that's going to give us the most accurate value of that property. So after that, we're also going to look at the person's credit report. We're also going to look at the title and make sure that, or the prelim, to make sure that what position we're going to be on in this property. Are there any other liens on the property? The reason we want to be in first position is because really it's simple, we get paid first. Typically, and I would say 90% of the time, we want to be in first position. There are some instances when it's okay to be in second, but really you want to be in first, because if anything happens, you want to ensure that you're going to be the first person to get paid and not someone else. So at this time, we'll also order a safety inspection to make sure that there's really nothing structurally wrong with the property. This is different than the kind of safety inspection you get when you're ordering your home for yourself, a personal property. We're wanting to make sure that everything's structurally sound, that there's not some larger issue going on that we can't see when we first walk through the property. This really is what helps us lower the risk along the way. This is another one of our layers. So all of these things together are helping us paint a better picture. And after that picture is painted, now we're able to see, is this actually the picture that the borrower brought to us, or is it something different? And if it is something different, that's when the renegotiating starts. Is there some larger issue now that we need to go back to the table and negotiate some other terms? As in, okay, now we found out we're in second position. Now we're going to want to make sure that we have 6 months worth of interest payments down up front. So all of these things are now helping us to really see what's going on instead of taking the borrower's word for it. That's something we can never do. You can never take a borrower's word. As much as you want to, and a lot of them are honest people. The thing is, you do get people that come to us that are asking for money, that have no experience, that have had bankruptcies, that have no money, and they're trying to do these deals. And this is what helps us really stay in a position of relative safety. Okay, so now after this, escrow will be open. And when escrow opens, the borrower is going to place the 2 documents that he signed out, along with the others, but mainly the mortgage and the promissory note. He's going to place these into escrow, as well as any interest payments or down payment that he needs to put into escrow that we decided in this part of our terms. Simultaneously, you, the partner investor, will place the funds on that end to be able to finance this deal. That will also go into escrow, and that is how the monies are dispersed to the borrower. It does not go through us. It does not go through the broker. It goes through escrow. So you're able to see exactly what's going on, and there's no confusion. Okay, so when escrow closes, our partner investors, as well as Empire Lending Group, will receive the promissory note and the mortgage to that property. Simultaneously, the borrower will receive the funds needed for the purchase of the property and the rehab. Typically, the rehab costs will be in disbursements along phase lines of the project, so that they're not just dispersed the full amount, and we know that the payments are being used for what's needed. Alright, so now you're probably wondering, how do I get paid? It's the most important part. So when the borrower makes his monthly payment, he will make it to the servicing company. And from there, the servicing company is going to disperse the payments to yourself, the partner investor, as well as us, Empire Lending Group. And it will be dispersed simultaneously to whatever account that we choose, whatever account you choose on your end. And that's how we're able to keep this as transparent as possible, and it's not money running through us then to disperse to you. It keeps it much safer, and it avoids any sort of chance of fraud. Okay, so now you're probably wondering, how do I get the principal back? When the borrower finishes the project and sells the property is when he will pay off the loan. And it's that simple. Now you're probably wondering now, how am I protected? By us holding the note and the mortgage to the property, this is what keeps the borrower really at bay to us and having to pay us. Because if he doesn't, he's going to lose whatever equity he had to put in. And this goes exactly to what I was saying earlier. We lend up the max percent of 70% LTV. So let's make it easy deal right here. So let's say that we have a property that is valued at $100,000. We're going to loan max LTV of 70%, which will be $70,000. That means the borrower has to come to the table with $30,000 or 30%. So this means automatically that there is $30,000 worth of equity in this property. So let's say worst case scenario, we have to foreclose on this property. So we take this property and we begin the foreclosure process. Typically, homes sell on foreclosure auction for 85% of what their property value is. So if we were to sell this property for 85%, we'll be selling for $85,000. So still, we will be getting back $85,000, which is our initial principal, as well as $15,000 extra. So we're still making a profit. The reason we have these people come to the table with so much is because it allows us to have a large cushion. We could technically sell the property for 30% less of what it's worth and still break even. Now, obviously we're not going to do that, But the point is it leaves us a larger cushion to keep us much safer. And the lower the LTV, the better. If you have LTV around 50%, 45%, you get the picture. It just creates us that larger cushion to really keep us in a much safer position. Another thing that keeps us in a better position and shifts risk away from us is collateral. Sometimes if the borrower may have worse credit, or he's needing something, or something's not looking right, we can require them to put up more collateral. If they have any properties that they own free and clear, they can offer those up as well. And we do this, again, to shift the risk over to the borrower. And like I said, the reason foreclosure is not very common in this industry is because that borrower has to put up so much that if they walk away, they lose everything that they put in. So really, we make it as painful as possible for that borrower to walk away. And it's not that we're wanting to hurt the borrower, but we want to make sure that all of the money is protected, that your money is protected, that our money is protected, and that these people are going to pay, and they're going to make those payments, and they're going to do whatever they can to make them. Okay, so I want to review the things that keep us in a safer position and lower the risk with this type of investment vehicle. And really, one of the best things are our teams. These are the people, again, the professionals that have been doing this for decades, and they know all the ins and outs of their industry, as well as any updated laws. Also, the amount of collateral that the borrower has to bring to the table is so large, it makes it so hard for that borrower to walk away and stop making those payments. Another thing is that fact that we hold the note to the property. If anything happens, we are able to foreclose on the property immediately. Alright, so now I want to talk about some of the pros and some of the cons of private mortgage investing. So some of the pros are it definitely has higher returns. We are able to generate around double-digit returns as well as passive monthly income. The fact also is that it's a lower risk type of investing due to the fact of all the collateral that has to be offered. You're also able to use other people's time and other people's experience, being the teams. These are people that you can rely on to know that they're going to do the proper job and have the experience behind all these deals that's needed. Alright, now for the cons. The money is relatively illiquid. It can be as short as 2 weeks, yes, but typically what we see is 3 to 6 month long investments. Now, compared to other investments, that's not very long, but you cannot just pull the money out. And that is one of the cons. You're not able to get the money back if you're ever in a position where you needed it immediately. Another thing is that, say if we went to go foreclose on the home and it didn't sell at auction, ultimately we could end up with the property. Now at the end of the day, that's not the worst thing that can happen, but it is still one of the cons. Also, a borrower can be late on a payment. Typically, with most deals, a borrower is late at least once. And let me name the biggest con of all when it comes to private mortgage investing. You haven't heard of it. That is the biggest thing that I deal with when I'm speaking to people about private mortgage investing. People haven't heard of it, they don't know anyone that's done it, and they question why they haven't heard of it. Well, the reason being is because other organizations like Wall Street don't earn money from this. And that's also why we're able to generate higher returns, is because the returns are split with the partner investor as well as our company. So just because you haven't heard of it doesn't mean it isn't beneficial, but trust me when I say I completely understand where people are coming from when they come to us with skepticism because they haven't heard of something, and it really almost falls into the too good to be true. But definitely do your research, and you will see that it's not too good to be true. People have been doing this, and they do it all across the nation. There's private lenders all over the place that offer private mortgage investing. It's just not as advertised and televised as some other investment vehicles. Alright, that's it. So I hope you guys got something out of this video. I really hope now you guys understand how private mortgage investing works from beginning to end. I'm pretty sure you guys have more questions, and that's totally fine. Please contact us, reach out to us. We have people that are standing by wanting to answer your guys' questions. We want to make you guys feel as comfortable as possible so you guys have confidence when investing with our company and know that truly, this is an incredibly beneficial way to invest. Again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to contact us. We have more reading material that we can send out to you guys. Again, just contact us and we'll be able to send all those things out. If there's anything else you guys need, please write us, make any sort of suggestions, and we'll be able to make a video for that or some sort of newsletter to be able to answer your guys' questions, all right? So again, I hope you guys got something out of this video, and I'm really excited because now the next phase is going to go into how the opportunity looks and what you guys will be presented with when you guys are looking to invest. So again, I wish you guys best of luck on your journey towards financial freedom, and I will talk to you guys later.